Okay, hey everybody, my name's Wendy Gorton and I'm super stoked to be here this afternoon, or depending where you're at, morning or evening, with a bunch of really talented educators who are all doing really cool stuff with student engagement and Google Apps for Education. So we're holding this hangout on air for the next half hour to kind of share the different projects that each of them are doing. If you're following us online at EdTechTeam, you're welcome to ask us questions if you're on the Google Plus page, and we'll go through and introduce all of our lovely educators, and you can get their Twitter handles and their Google Plus, and hopefully keep in the conversation going about different strategies for involving and training your students on how to use all these awesome tools. So let's go through and introduce everybody, and then we'll come back and maybe go project by project and hear all of the great stuff you all are doing with student engagement. So let's kick off, if we want to, with Heidi Trude, who's joining us, which, if you want to look at our blog.edtechteam.com, we actually featured Heidi and her school doing a Google boot camp that she was inspired from the Virginia Summit for Google, featuring Google for Education that we recently had. So we're really excited to share that event that Heidi held and facilitated, and then hear a little bit more from our other folks about student summits and other really great stuff. So Heidi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe how folks can get in touch with you on your Twitter and all that good stuff.
So I'm Heidi Trude. I am a Google certified educator here in Front Royal, Virginia. So to give you all kind of a reference point to where that is, it's about 60 miles west of Washington, D.C. I am a French teacher, and I've been collaborating with my colleague who used to teach here at Skyline, and she's now the ITRT in a county at our elementary school, Justina Cordy. So that gives you a little background about her and myself, and what we'll talk about later in the Hangout is how she created the Google Boot Camp and then brought in myself and my students to facilitate the camp with the elementary school students. So this is my 7th year teaching, and I'm really passionate about Google. So that's a little bit about me. And to reach me on Twitter, my handle is @HTrude07.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Heidi, and thanks for sharing Justina's great curriculum and how you facilitated it at your school. We'll dig in a little bit more on how that all unfolded and the great activities that you guys did and what you've been doing since you held that boot camp. Thanks, Heidi.
You're welcome.
Cool. Let's hear, maybe I'll go down the bottom. Chris is joining us from California. Chris, do you want to share with us your background and maybe the student project you're going to talk about today?
Sure. Hi, my name's Chris Scott, at CScottC, and I think what I'll talk about is Minecraft, since it's something I really like, not just playing, but playing with the students and using it for kids to be demonstrating their learning, and using Google Apps to really rein in Minecraft and really squeeze the learning juice out of Minecraft. That's what I'm thinking about talking about, so. There it is.
Awesome. And where you're teaching right now? Where, Chris?
So I'm not teaching right now, but I live in California, and typically I teach in San Ynez, which is near Santa Barbara.
Ooh, that means we get more time to have Chris train teachers and do awesome stuff. So.
That's right.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Chris. Again, reach out to him, CScottC, on Twitter to learn more. But I can't wait to hear more about what you're up to with Google Apps and Minecraft. Dee, please tell us about you.
Sure. Dee Lanier. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Twitter handle is @DLanier, and also I'm on Google+. And this is my first year out of the classroom in the last 8 years, which is both scary and exciting at the same time. I head up a nonprofit organization called Uncommon, which also allows me a lot more free time to volunteer at schools. I serve on the board of a school called Charlotte Lab School, work at a museum sometimes here in Charlotte, and get to train teachers in how to utilize technology as well. So the thing I love the most is giving just creative tools in the hands of kids and then letting them have fun with it, and then learning from them what all they're doing with it. And so doing a lot of things with capturing photography and video capturing, time lapse, things of that nature, and then also audio recording. So giving them tools like Audio Tool or Soundtrap, showing them how to use it, and then finding out what they do with it. It's lots of fun.
Awesome, Dee. And Dee's done some really great keynotes for a lot of our summits in our program in the past and in the future. So we're always excited to hear the cool stuff that Dee has in store. And we'll dig in a little bit more to some of those creation tools you just mentioned soon. Yay! Let's chat really quick with Steven. Steven's joining us from school as well. Tell us, Steven, about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Steve Merchant. I'm a first-year educational technology specialist, and I'm here in Central California in Ceres Unified School District. And today I'm just going to share a couple things that I've observed in classrooms this year with students using Google Apps for education.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Stephen, and thanks for the passion to just like Heidi, kind of hanging out at school today and making the time to share with folks what's going on. And then Chantel, tell us about yourself, and thanks for joining us. Uh-oh. Well, we'll hopefully, if she looks like she's so committed, she joined us mobile as well. So hopefully she can pop in. It sounds like your audio might be off a little bit, Chantel. So pop in and we'll make time to hear from you. Maybe if you want to disconnect and reconnect back in. Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, thanks for introducing yourselves, and hopefully folks can find you on Twitter and Google+. I wanted to start off and maybe share a little bit about Heidi's boot camp that she did in Virginia, and hear a little bit about, I guess it'd be nice to hear from the other folks too, just how do you go about, you get all these ideas at a professional development event like a summit or a training at your school, and then how do you go back and take a project and get students excited and give them the strategies and skills they need to use all these things, and how do you put it all together? So let's look at Heidi's site for a minute and the training day that you did, and then maybe we can hear a little bit from other people on the call about ways that they've planned or facilitated this at a larger level for students to get them going. So Heidi, do you want to share with us a little bit about the event that you had and how it all happened?
So basically this was all Jacina's chat, like it's her project completely. So she's thought of doing this for 2 years. She'd wanted to do it, but then she had some personal issues that came up that didn't allow her to actually do this last summer was the original plan. So it was put on hold, and then we attended the summit, and she came up with even more ideas, and I found even different ways. I was like, wait a minute, why? Like, let's think, how could we involve my high schoolers? Because they're always looking for community service, and I'm like, I sponsor the Key Club. Those kids need some service hours. How can we involve the high schoolers with this, kind of be a role model for our kids, for the younger kids? So we came up with the idea to, okay, let me teach my kids all these Google tools so then they can go in and facilitate this with the younger students using all of the applications that Jacina had developed. So I had to make sure that I understood everything she created in order to teach my students, which my students would meet with me every day for 30 minutes during, we have what is called a flex time here. It's kind of like the easiest way to explain it would be a study hall period. So the kids would come in, had about 15 of them in here working off of our Chromebooks in our school, and I would teach them a new skill each day. We used our Google Classroom page, and the kids would, in Google Classroom, complete each mission so they understood how to teach the mission to the elementary schoolers, because I had to tell the kids, elementary kids are going to have lots of questions about this. And for my high schoolers, a lot of them, it was their first experience working with Google Draw, working with Build with Chrome. Most of my high schoolers are very comfortable using docs and slides and sheets, but it was teaching them the new tools of how can you use this, and then how can you therefore teach it to the elementary kids. So that was the point where I had to come up with creative ways to make sure my kids could easily teach this to elementary kids who high schoolers and elementary schoolers sometimes don't mix well. So that was how we had to come up with ways to creatively work with them. So that was that part. But all the credit to everything that was developed, website, all of that goes to Justina. I mean, she is super creative. I think she eats, sleeps, and breathes Google. Like, that is her life, is everything with Google. So that's kind of how she developed everything. And then I can talk more later of how we actually ran the whole day, but that's kind of where we got the ideas from it.
Awesome, Heidi. And I'm showing right now on our screen kind of the resource site and putting things together, and I love the mentorship aspect of using leveraging high school and younger students as a way to help usher in some of these skills. I don't know, do any of you on the call have other ideas, or have you been doing any kind of mentorship between high schoolers and younger students, or between students, like a student tech club or anything like that? Does anyone have anything to share?
I can share about my dojo, my training dojo.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so it's at edutechserve.com/dojo, and what we did there was have students go through a series of tests that they would have to qualify to then become, or then be tested or evaluated on their skill set to then earn a belt or earn a degree. So white belt was them being proficient in Gmail. And so they first would have to take the 20-question test, score 80% or higher, and that qualified them to then do a demonstration exam. And if they showed themselves to be proficient, they earned a white belt. And then that was celebrated throughout the entire community, throughout the entire school, that this is now an expert in Gmail. So their first belt earned meant that they were instantly just very helpful to the entire school community. Well, then what ended up happening is we started having younger learners come in, starting with a third grader. So we created the mobile apps, knowledge exams, and the demonstration exams from there. And it was the older students that would then help tutor them in using those Google tools on the mobile platform. And then from there, the students were then tutoring the teachers. So it's a great lesson in reciprocity throughout our entire learning.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. And I pulled up the site, edutechserve.com/dojo. And just like Heidi and Justina's site that they have for Google Bootcamp, another really great resource for kind of just packaging it all together. And I imagine just even looking at this resource site, Dee, that it's really easy for other teachers to follow, or to the programmatic style of it makes it really nice. So, this is cool. I haven't seen this site before, Dee. This is awesome. Yeah. I don't know, Chris, are you doing anything kind of on the Student Summit end that kind of puts together a way, kind of in an interesting way for students to track or to get resources in a kind of an organized way like this? Do you have anything to share along those lines?
I do, actually, and a couple questions really quick for Dee is, what grades or ages did you design that for, and then like, where did you get the questions, for each sort of level? Did you make those, or did you grab those from somewhere, or
oh goodness,
combination?
Yeah, it was a lot of development, and it first started out as an after-school program for high schoolers. And then when I moved to my next school, we did a program that was an enrichment course for 5th and 6th graders. And I actually didn't modify the curriculum at all. They caught on, they helped one another, and we went from there. It wasn't until I got a 3rd grader that I decided to change my curriculum almost altogether so that I could scale down for them. And those questions, they were started first from some of the Google questions for education trainers. That was some of the inspiration behind a lot of them, and then some.
Oops, I don't know if I hear you anymore, Dee. Heidi, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, bummer. You might need to come back on, but Awesome. It sounds like we got a lot from that already about where you got those resources and kind of inspired for it. Chris, did you want to share a little bit about your program?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm just transferring to my Wi-Fi, so it'll be better. So if you can come back to me in a minute.
Or maybe while he's getting ready, I don't know, Stephen, do you have, being your first year as an EdTech specialist, do you have how have you kind of helped prepare your students to start learning some of these things? I know a lot of talk is about preparing teachers, but what do you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you're up to your first year there helping students.
Yeah, great question. So part of the reason I am here is to steal some of these great ideas from Dee and other folks on how we can start incorporating students a little more. This year we really did focus on the administrators and moving towards teachers too. We had a mouse squad we piloted this year for a little bit, but we'd really like something that's a little more authentic and kind of homegrown to meet our specific needs.
For sure. Oh, what's Mouse Squad?
It's an organization that has a preset curriculum where a teacher basically sets up an after-school club where you could do it as a course. And they work with students to do all kinds of tech things, from troubleshooting to repair to some teaching.
Awesome. Let's see, I don't know if Chris got back in. Susan's in. Hi, Susan. Looks like you've joined us. Can you hear us, Susan?
I can hear you.
Yay, I can't see you, but Susan, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe tell us anything that you're currently doing with students and preparing them with Google Apps for Education?
Well, I'm Susan Parker, and I'm from Indiana, and I am just beginning this, so I'm kind of listening for ideas. I'm a media specialist, and we have a group called RD Intel, but beyond that, I'm looking for ideas on how to move forward.
Awesome. That's exactly what kind of Stephen's here, and I think we all are. We're all kind of learning and picking up, and it's so hard, I think, to just put all this stuff in one place, which is why when you come across some of these awesome sites or events like Google Bootcamp or what Dee was just describing with his Dojo, or what Chris is going to chat about with kind of student summits, or Mouse Squad like Stephen mentioned, sometimes just getting these links and resources and ideas and mashing it up to what fits and works with your school and your teachers is kind of the hardest part. So thanks for joining us, Susan, and kind of in this learning call that we have going on. It looks like Chris is back up and we get to see him now. Yay.
Yay, hi.
Hi.
Oh, good, you can hear me. Whew. I made it. Okay, so awesome. So we're working with Michael Wacker and with Kern Kelly on student summits, so STEAM summits. Super, super exciting stuff. Like, we're going and we're just providing these really fun experiences with coding and 3D printing and with Minecraft and all these different things. And of course, it's all under the umbrella of using Google, which is really cool. And you were just asking about like, how are we sort of keeping track, or how are the kids able to do something sort of like what Dee was offering? And we are working on, we meaning mostly Kern Kelly, but he's working on the Tech Sherpa program. I see you pulled up the site there. It's pretty awesome. Oh, the video. There's Kern there in the video. The Tech Sherpa program is something he's actually, with his students, they're actually putting a book together with some certifications some tests, some ideas and things that they can pass, and then they can actually take like a test and become Tech Sherpas, which is really cool. It's like our own version of any kind of badging system. And what's really cool about it is that there's a lot of kids out there, whether it's in high school or whether it's in junior high or even younger grades, that are doing some really cool stuff with tech. We know that, and it'd be really cool for them to be able to sort of have that that badge, that sort of Tech Sherpa badge that's universal, right? Not just dedicated to a school or a district, perhaps, but across schools, so kids can really identify with each other. So that's something that we're working on, and that is to be released at ISTE. That's the goal. So what is that? The very end of June. I see you pull up Tech Sherpas. Yep. So that's happening. That's coming up. And
is there a site? Is there a better site, Chris, that has kind of the program on? I know this is Curran's been doing this. Gosh, for how many? The Tech Sherpas. I remember meeting them. I forgot what summit I got to meet one of them, but I mean, this is kind of the stuff that I think all of us are here for today, is to learn about the empowering of students. And just when we give students the reins, I mean, they're helping out teachers weekly around the world, and so I think that's really cool to put a name on it, or to kind of formalize some of the stuff that's going on with it, to help kind of more of a global thing. But same with like boot camp or any of these are such a neat way to be able to connect with each other on it. Is there a site that has any of the other information on it that folks can go to if they want?
So we're still really in the alpha, So a site right now, I think the Tech Sherpa Google Plus page is going to be a great way. Reaching out to me would be great. We do have EdTechTeen.com, but that is really just like a quick landing page. So there's not much there. It's just quick landing page. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. So everyone's getting the newest, latest, the little taste of what's to come.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just like the one quick page, and right now we're just working on getting sites that are interested. And what's really cool is that there's so many places that are excited about it, and it's not even something where we have to say like, hey, this is what we're doing. The people, like schools, are saying to us, we need this. This is what we want. Please come and do this. And then, we get great people like Dee's been at them at the student summits, and Curran's been there, and there's just lots of great people just bringing some really cool stuff, and really helping the kids find that, just find that place with.
Yeah,
with
I think
that they're working on.
And
you pointed out something really cool as well, that that the Tech Sherpas actually are traveling to the different STEAM summits. So we had one in Canada. There's 3 Tech Sherpas. It was in Edmonton in Alberta, and then we just had a one-day STEAM summit in it was in San Bernardino area here in California, and there was one of the Tech Sherpas there. And the idea is that the kids would be able to have some way, some fashion, actually get to go and travel to an EdTechTeam summit and share what's going on. Just that's so powerful. We all know how it is. Like when the kids get up and do the slams, it's like they're always doing the coolest stuff, and they're always making it so fun for everybody in the audience. We're just like, this, come on, if you don't vote for him or her, then what's going on? 'Cause that was so good.
And student showcase of work is just so cool too. I don't know, Heidi, if from the boot camp is with students' work when they're finished, or I mean, if you look at our blog that Heidi wrote about the event with resources, I want to go play the Chrome Wars right now. It just looks so fun. But tell us a little bit about after the event, kind of have students had a chance to share some of the work that they've created with Build with Chrome or with some of these things?
At the elementary school, I'm not quite sure what they've done. I know their teachers, they were working on being recognized by their teachers, and the kids are known as the leaders within their classes. Since I'm not in the elementary school, it's hard for me to actually answer what they've done. With my high schoolers, though, they're coming in wanting to do more. They're being featured within their own classes now, because the teachers are like, oh, look, you volunteered at the boot camp, so can we get you to help us? I mean, our own students here have now taken on a new role as leaders within my high school, which is awesome. Ooh. Because it's a little less work on me being like, oh, can you fix this? I'm like, oh, well, why don't you just ask the student? They're a part of boot camp. They understand how this works. So they're kind of being perceived more as leaders within the school, which is great, because we're just basically, our district is becoming more involved with Google Apps for Education now. So our school has one Chromebook cart. Some of the schools don't have any yet, so kind of just getting the kids to be more immersed into it is a big step now. So that's kind of where we're at. And next year, my kids have already asked if we're doing it again, which I think is great. Only problem is Jacina is not going to be here next year, so we're kind of looking at how are we going to work this, and will the elementary ITRTs who are still in place want to do this, or can we take it on a bigger scale? Is where
Sure. Yeah, I think that's how everybody at the end of the school year right now is kind of thinking, and I think that's just what the Tech Sherpas just had their topic about, was like end of the year, what do you do with your accounts? But I think all of us are thinking now, I'm sure Stephen and Susan too, just how do we take kind of these small programs we may have implemented and learn from them, and how do we put this at scale for maybe our whole school or district next year? So I think the questions you're going through, Heidi, are probably the same on everyone's mind right now about what do we do to optimize this programming for our students and our teachers. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time here. If we have any questions from anyone who's watching, or Stephen or Susan, about any of these programs, or Heidi, Chris, or Dee, questions about the other programs that we've shared today, let's hear it as we begin to wrap up.
No, I mean, I've written some things down, so
good.
I'm good.
Thanks, Susan. And Susan, where are you at? What city are you in?
I'm in Martinsville, Indiana.
Indiana, awesome.
And
Very
I've actually
cool.
been out gardening today, so it's a good thing you can't see me, 'cause I'm a dirty mess.
Well, I hope we all stay in touch in the community as we start to kind of go through these things. And I think what Chris is talking about, and all of us, is that, continuing to share these resources and what we're up to, and planning these kind of event-style celebrations or programs or opportunities for students to share what they're doing is super important. Stephen, any last things to add, or questions, or anything?
No, Wendy, you just hit the nail on the head with the getting this to scale. Next year, we're rolling out 13,000 devices, with every kid in kindergarten through 12th grade having something.
Ooh, wow. And are those going to be one-to-one, or?
Yeah, full one-to-one take-home K1 tablets and 2 through 12 Chromebooks.
Oh, man. Well, I know that the Chromebook community on Google Plus is really nice to start to talk to people, and we have a bunch of folks in our network doing great, one-to-one things. I think Jason Markey out in Illinois is a really good person to follow. All sorts of other people. So keep in touch, and of people doing awesome things with one-to-one programs right now. And just kind of what you're saying, Stephen, is how do you get started with that, and how do you move from one classroom to all of a sudden training 13,000 folks on being comfortable, so that the things that Dee's talking about, the creation and the getting kids making stuff, and we got to get our teachers comfortable and our students comfortable with what's possible with the devices. So hopefully we can all learn from each other in that respect. Dee or Chris, any last thoughts or questions?
I was just going to say, with the creation tools, one of the things that's most exciting for me whenever I get to do those at the student summits is just showing the kids how they work. And if we have an hour, 45 minutes, it probably is 10, 15 minutes of me showing them how, and then letting them go. And then asking them when they come back, not just how does it work, but what would you use this for? And it's always amazing to hear how the students say, I would use it in this class for these purposes. I could use it in with these sort of assignments for these purposes. I think lots of times we as teachers, we think we have to think of first what are all of the educational opportunities before teaching the tool. And instead, if we just teach the tool and then allow them to use whatever tool that they see that fits best with whatever the curriculum is, the kids, they're imaginative, right? They have the creativity, and just let them have it.
That's really hard to do sometimes too. I think even with if you're like Stephen and teaching teachers, it's hard to do. We want, as teachers, I think we naturally kind of want to preload and have all these use cases ready, but I think your philosophy of just saying, like, all right, this is how it functions. Let's take 10 minutes, and then you tell me what you can do with it. I like it. I like it a lot. And I think that's probably looking at boot camps and EdTechTeen and student summits and training programs, starting to be a little more open-ended, and not so much training so much as inspiring, for sure. Chris, any last thoughts before we all hop off? Oh, your audio's off. But we see the passion oozing from you. It's okay. It's all right. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for taking the time this afternoon to chat about it. We're going to be transcribing this and posting the video on our blog and on the Google Plus community. So hopefully we can keep the conversation going. I'd love to have another chat, you know, as EdTechTeen goes out. Maybe is anyone here going to ISTE this month? Gosh, it's like a couple weeks away. Anyone going? Dee, are you going?
I'm not going this year.
Boo! Steven, Susan, Heidi, gonna make it out?
Well,
Next year for
I'll be
me.
in Italy.
Oh darn, Heidi! And Steven next year. All right, we'll see you next year for sure. But you can all. I think ISTE and like after Google EDU on air, I think the resources and just following the hashtag is going to be huge with vicariously gleaning some goodies from that event here in a few weeks. So hopefully everyone stays in touch and keep in touch with us at EdTechTeam. I'm at Wendy Gorton. You got at Trude07 at D-Lane. How do you say your last name? I'm always
Lanier.
Okay, I always want to say it super sophisticated.
French.
I always want to
Lanier.
say Lanier, and I don't. Awesome. And you got C. Scottsy. Stephen, how can folks get in touch with you?
I'm at EdTech Rockstar 1.
Ah, boom. You're the first one. EdTech Rockstar 1. Awesome. And then Susan, if you want, you're welcome to share your Twitter if you want anyone to get in touch. But otherwise, thanks for popping in.
Okay.
Thanks,
get back with
everybody.
you.
And continue to share and keep doing all the awesome things you're doing with your students. Thanks again.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.